So now I'm going to talk about my military career. This is going to be a rough one, but it happened. So I'm like 16 years old. I'm selling drugs for the police department, and I'm involved in a gang. And I got really frustrated because here we are destroying people's lives, and I made the decision that if I was going to be in a gang, anyway, Linda Vista Crip, I decided, and I went to my mentors and I went to the leaders of our little crew, and I said, hey, I want to change the world. And I gave them the snake eyes. I said, I'm joining the Marine Corps. Are you guys going to be mad at me? And I said, no. They were actually very excited. They were like, you go for it, Big B. You go for it, Bryan. So I joined the Marine Corps. And I worked hard. I mean, I was 17 years old when I joined. And I used to ride my bike 10 miles down to MCRD San Diego. And I used to get on base. I don't know how, but I did. And I'd go to the gym and I would work out hardcore style. And I would ride my bicycle back up the hill to my house. And then, my cousin called me. He says, hey, I've got work up in Ephrata, Washington. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to put on weight. I'm trying to get strong. I'm going in the Marine Corps. And my cousin supported it also, along with my gang. So, wow. Heavy duty shit, guys. So I moved up there, drove my little Datsun 200SX, got up there, and started working my ass off. I mean, I was carrying two 5-gallon buckets up a ladder to the 3rd story of buildings, and we were doing hot tar roofing. Very hardcore work. And we were doing demo, ripping roofs off of buildings, and then slapping hot tar around. And I have burn marks all over my body from that, but it made me strong. And then finally, I got a call from my recruiter. He's like, hey, it's go time. You're going to boot camp on November 11th. And I don't know if you Marines know what that means, but I was like, holy shit. I'm going into the Marine Corps on the birthday of the Marine Corps. Anyway, they did actually take that day off. So I entered boot camp November 12th of 1991. And I was in good shape. And I was a squad leader. I was the only one to graduate boot camp as an E3, which is unheard of because I fucking kicked ass. I was the most badass person in my entire company. Whoa. So they gave me the choice of what I wanted to do because I aced the ASVAB, and I don't know if you know what that is, but that's the military entrance exam, and I got a 198. The maximum is a 200, so I aced the damn thing. I only missed one question. So here I am, an E3 in a leadership role, studying air traffic control. So they shipped me off to Millington, Tennessee, which is right by Memphis. So I'm in Millington, and I'm a leader. and I am the big boss. And I'm calling cadence, I'm marching troops, I am acing everything, and I am mastering the entire art of controlling aircraft. Because, as I said, my recruiter said I could do whatever I want because I'm so smart. And I'm not trying to build myself up, I just am. So, from there, I started training officers, and then they moved me to MCAS El Toro, which is in Orange County in California, and I became the training NCO. And basically, we had F-18s, C-130s, CH-46s, and some other airplanes. And my job was to make sure they didn't run into each other. Talk about stressful. My job was to make sure that these jarhead pilots wouldn't go too fast, for one, so it's kind of like a speed control cop, and to make sure that they weren't too close together to where they would run into each other. And a couple of them actually did, but I'll talk about that later. But here these jet heads are hauling ass in F-18s, which I flew one. They're extremely amazing. They're so fast, and if you're not careful, when you pull back on that stick, you pass out. No matter how hard you try, they will knock you out cold. And if you push forward on the stick, you red out. And that's when all the blood from your body goes to your brain, and everything goes red. And you're going like Mach 1, or almost. You're really moving fast. So I continued my military career. And then all of a sudden, and I'm really not supposed to talk about this, but I have been told that it's okay now. It's almost been 30 years. I mean, I'm 47 next month. So I joined at 17, so that's about 30 years. So now I can talk about some of the secret and top secret things that I did. This is going to be rough. So, because they were concerned that we would refuse orders and not act as told, they would trick us into doing things. So, I'll give a quick example, and I'll try to make it as lighthearted and brief as possible. But I was working with the Federal Aviation Administration, and Tony, and anyway, I don't want to say names, but anyway, a lot of these people that are GS-12s, GS-13s, we are top secret operatives. I was doing black operations, and they were putting us on narcolepsy pills to keep us awake, and then they would also give us Ambien so we could sleep. Because after about 36 hours or 48 hours, it's like being on crack. You start to hallucinate and you start making mistakes. And that's how we accidentally blew up the British. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Anyway, we're operating. This was over in Iraq. Desert Storm, the first one, with Poppy Bush. So they brought all of us dumb 19-year-old brainwashed jarheads into a conference and said, hey, we need you to become proficient in war. So we are going to do a training exercise, and we are going to judge you on your performance, military stuff. So they put us in these command rooms, these underground bunkers, video screens everywhere, radar, comm, ability to communicate, and next thing you know, boom, we're in Mogadishu. We're inside this little van with touch screens 30 years ago, before smartphones even existed. And here I am with retina scans and fingerprint scanners inside this little thing that looks like a dumpster with the most high tech you've ever seen in your life 30 years ago. So we go into these rooms, and they lied to us and said that it was a training exercise. So me, being a young, dumb, full of cum 19-year-old jarhead, I went for it. And I operated precisely. And I commanded all these military aircraft. We were linked up with the AWACS. We were linked up and connected through satellite all the way to the other side of the planet. So it was like war games. And some of you may remember that movie, but this is real shit. So I did my job. I put all the X's on the screen, picked which cities to bomb, and then after I did that, the heavy movers and the big bombers did their job. And our job at the time was to clean up the mess, because over there really were mass graves. It was terrible. And our job was to destroy the evidence, to eliminate it, and make the mass graves and all that horrible thing that happened over there in the Middle East disappear. So we were the cleaning crew. We called it mowing the grass. We called it glassing the desert. We called them Hajis. I mean, it's terrifying when I look back. So that's what we did. And they called them training exercises. So they had us convinced that it was just a video game. And then boom, they'd give us these other pills. Fuck. They'd give us these other pills. And I think it was I don't know, Ambien, some kind of sleeping pill. But it would knock you out for 3 days. And you'd wake up in this daze going, what did I just do? And they would debrief us while we're in this hallucinogenic phase. And they'd bring us in the debrief room and they'd say, hey, Lance Corporal Kale, you just eliminated 4,000 people. Thank you for your service. That was not a training exercise, that was live. So we're going to assign you to the flight surgeon, and we are going to give you psychological therapy to help you with this. And they did. And I talked to these jackass fucking college graduates that don't know shit. And here I am. I just blew up like 4,000 people. Women, children, fathers, sons. I didn't even know I was doing it. I thought it was a video game. And, through therapy and, they gave me some really good drugs. But, I slowly made it through it. And I had so much fun in the process. I mean, okay, I gotta lighten up a little bit, because this was a funny thing that happened. No, because I was the #1 air traffic controller of El Toro Marine Corps Air Force Base, Marine Corps headquarters, fucking underground base, whole deal. It's shut down now, so I can talk about it. But we were in contact with the local law enforcement all the time because they had to contact us. We were the bosses. I worked with the FAA and Coast Approach and, Orange County Airport and Seal Beach and all of that. Anyway, hardcore air traffic controller. Very, very stressful job. So, the Duke helicopter, this is highway patrol. They're trying to catch people speeding down the highway. Well, they'd call us up on occasion when they were feeling goofy, and they'd be like, oh, this is Duke 12. Can we land on your runway? And then I'd key up and be like, oh, go ahead. You're cleared for landing. And I'd do my thing. So next thing you know, we got this Hughes 500 aircraft. Hughes 500 helicopter. Really cool things. Jet-powered helicopters. Woo, they're cool. Anyway, this dude, he lands on my runway. And he's like, does anyone want to go for a ride? And I'm like, I can't remember my call sign at the time. Because Big B is my new call sign, but I can't remember what my old one was. So basically, I'm like, oh, yeah, Big B, you have permission to land. I'll be out there on the tarmac in a moment. So I would walk my happy ass. I'd delegate to other younger jarheads. I was the boss. I've always been Big B. But anyway, so I delegated authority to the younger guys. I said, hey, I'm going to go fly on this freaking helicopter. So you guys take over the runway, ground control, do your job, contact weather, make sure that everything is legit, and I'm going for a flight. So anyway, this cop shows up in a helicopter and lands on my runway, and I walk out there and jump on the damn thing. And I had never ridden in a helicopter before. It was so... Anyway. So I board this thing, buckle in. I got my 5-point strap and everything. All of a sudden, this thing takes off. Ooh, I don't like helicopters. All of a sudden, this guy starts, basically doing backflips in the daggone thing. I mean, he would do, a loop where he just... flip the whole helicopter upside down and do a loop. And my guts are spinning. I mean, I wanted to throw up, but I didn't. And next thing you want to see something really cool? And here we are. I'm top secret fucking Marine Corps. He's high level highway patrol. We have complete unlimited power. We can do anything. So... This motherfucker, he takes his helicopter. He's like, watch this, Big B. Or, I can't remember what my call sign was. But anyway, he's like, watch this, Bryan. And all of a sudden, he hauls ass. And a Hughes 500 will go about, 150, maybe 180 miles an hour. They can move. It's a jet-powered helicopter. So he books it all the way to Dana Point, which is also known as Newport Beach in California. So he books it over there. And we're zipping across the beach, 10 feet off the waves, just hauling ass. I mean, this guy's on duty, and so was I. So we just basically hijacked this helicopter together, and we're just going crazy. And all of a sudden he's like, watch this. And he pulled it back. And somehow he was able to stop that helicopter on a dime. So here we are going 150, 160, 180 knots. I mean, we're moving. And he just pulls back on the stick and stops the thing in midair. And then hovers. And he gets this really big grin on his face. He's like, are you ready? I'm like, I was born ready. Let's go. So then he starts slowly hovering, slowly going up this cliff. And we get to the top of the cliff, and somehow he was able to make the helicopter silent. I don't know how that works, but so we're hovering silently at the top of the cliff. And it's a bunch of rich people and mansions and naked women everywhere. They're all laying out by the pool, completely naked. So here we are in a hijacked military, well, highway patrol, whatever, state helicopter, and I'm, riding along, and here we are looking at these naked girls at the top of a cliff, and then boom, I don't know what he did, but it must have like a nitrous or something. He pushed the stick forward, and this helicopter just took off like a bat out of hell. And we went back to the base. We landed, and, we all went to the officers' club and got completely shit-faced. And we weren't allowed to talk about that. We weren't allowed to talk about all this crazy stuff that we did in the military. So anyway, I finished my career in the Marine Corps, and I had a good time. I was a great surveillance approach radar professional. I was a great precision approach radar controller. I also worked the tower. I've flown T-34s. I've flown C-130s. I've flown CH-46s. I flew that F-18. I mean, I had a great military career. And I loved it. But I have a hard time dealing with the fact that even though I was lied to, that we actually, through war, we killed a lot of people. And I don't mean to talk about this either, but I'm going to, because that's just the way the fuck I am. They used to give us vaccinations. They had this little gun that they would put to your shoulder, and they would inject you with anthrax or SARS, all kinds of vaccinations. Because basically, when you're in the military, you are a government prop. You just do what you're told. So they would inject me with all kinds of fucking drugs. And God, my buddy Buchanan, man, God bless his soul. I don't even know if he's still alive. He probably joined the 23 a day. But anyway, Buchanan, he got the anthrax, and he impregnated his wife. And when he got deployed, and when he came home, the baby was like 3 or 4 months old, completely disfigured. Like a itty bitty little arm. One leg was backwards. This kid was completely screwed up. And I believe that was from the anthrax vaccine. And then I started thinking, oh my God, they gave that to me also. I'm like, scared to death. I thought that I was never able to have children. And time went by, and when I was like in my late 20s, I was sick of banging bar bitches and, being a slut and just fucking everything with two legs. And I mean, I was a player. No, I'm a jarhead. I'm sorry. I started wanting to settle down and have kids, and I kept thinking about Buchanan. Like, oh my God, he took all these vaccines and all this stuff, and his kids came out screwed up. I'm like, oh my God. How would I feel if I had kids that were all screwed up? And I was scared. And then I started doing the math. I'm like, okay, I got out of the Marine Corps when I was 21. I'm almost 31 now. So 10 years, hopefully this vaccine and all the drugs the military gave me would wear off my system. So I got married, made baby, and they came out so beautiful, and they are so wonderful. Anyway, I'm probably going to end this video on that note, because regardless of the curveballs that life throws you, you will overcome.